video I did a little bit ago about the PCTA and the permits and class of 2020, 2021. A couple of reasons. One, it was a pretty successful video as far as views, as far as for my channel, which is relatively new. But a lot of people checked it out. It was my first video to actually get dislikes on instead of likes, so that was interesting. Because all my other videos, smaller audience, and everyone just liked it or just not disliked it. So there's obviously some differing opinions. Also, I posted it on both the PCTA class of 2020 and 2021 page and got not a huge response, but a few comments, and I tried to kind of respond to everyone that commented. So anyway, I wanted to do a follow-up because of the success of it, and also because through the comments and through talking to a bunch of other people, I had some new information about it, and I've learned a few things about it. So I wanted to do a secondary video with some of that stuff, because there's a lot of stuff that came up that I'm like, man, I should have put that in the video, that I've thought of since, or other people gave me ideas for, or some differing opinions. The first thing that I want to talk about is I posted on the class of 2021, and I prefaced it the same way I did in the video about this isn't against the class of 2021. I want you guys to go out and hike. I want permits to be allowed. I want everyone to be safe and healthy and blah, blah, blah. So I wasn't putting it on there to offend any brand new hikers. I just wanted to be aware of the situation when they hear the story about 2020, those who hiked or those who didn't, or if they get in the same situation where they're asked off trail in 2021, which could happen. Kind of that they've got a little more tools to decide what's best for them or best for the situation or what they think they should do. Because I felt like I didn't have that because it was so unknown. I apologize for the light. It's like the sun's kind of starting to go down. It's right in the background. Anyway, so I posted on that page, and I think about the third or fourth comment was from a lady. I can't remember her name. I should have wrote it down or something so I could put it on here, because she had a really good comment, and said she agreed with most of what I was saying, but she was very eloquent. Put it way better. I kind of tend to ramble, both in the videos and when I write, because I don't feel like I'm getting my point across, so I feel like I repeat it too many times. But she was really well spoken, and basically agreed with most of what I said, but kind of said some things better, and also was more, I don't know, gentle about what she was saying about the PCTA, about, we still want to support them in the good work they do, which was my message too, but it definitely didn't come across that way to a lot of people. A lot of people thought I was attacking everything the PCTA did, or that I was attacking the decision that they made to ask people off trail. So I had to reiterate a lot in the comments of like, this isn't about the decision. That can be argued, and I'm sure it's been argued to death on those pages and other places on whether they should have even asked. That was never my issue about them asking people to get off trail. It's kind of what they did afterwards, but I'll get to that. Anyway, she wrote this really good comment, and then the actual PCTA, I don't know, their official page or whatever, sorry, let's kill that. Their actual PCTA page responded to her and tagged her in it on my post, which is kind of funny. But she was, like I said, she was more eloquently spoken and responded to her and didn't apologize, but tried to kind of explain their point of view, and said they were very sympathetic, very verbally sympathetic about the class of 2020 and the whole thing that went down. Gosh, there's like light right on my face. Okay, that's not any better. Tilt it in. No, I don't know what that's about. That's weird. Hopefully it goes away when the sun starts to go down a little more. Saying they were really sympathetic about the class of 2020, and that they had put out an email or memo or whatever stating that, and they put a link to follow, links in their comment. And so I read that, and I was like, one, I thought it was funny that they tagged her and not me, but I guess I was a little too rough in their opinion, and she was a lot more well-spoken about it and kinder. So anyway, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this email or there's this comment that might have some kind of an apology or some kind of condolences to or whatever that I was kind of asking for. And I'm like, I'm going to look like I have egg on my face for saying they needed to do this and they did this all along. So I'm ready to be like, okay, now I got to put out another video and basically say that it's like, I missed this email, I never got it or never heard about it or whatever, because I'm not privy to everything that goes on. I mean, so anyway, I click on the link thinking, okay, let's check this out, and I read through it, and there is that where it says, sympathy to the class of 2020 and what they had to go through and whatever. But then it goes on a little bit later to talk about how they cannot honor 2020 permits going forward because of, and they word it very carefully, but basically because of the different choices that hikers made in the 2020 class, which to me basically means because of the ones that continued on, and we don't know how many that is, and kind of it was against, or not kind of, it was against their wishes, and they're not happy about people carrying on, that they don't want to reward anyone who carried on in any way by honoring their permit going forward, or anyone that completed it basically getting a pass to go next year, which for a free permit is kind of ridiculous. I get your concern about overcrowding on trail, and I mentioned this in the last video, which is fine, but you can make a few adjustments to the 2021 class or the next 4 years going forward to make that better. So, just a second. Okay, so anyway, basically the letter was blaming the 2020 hikers that continued on for the reason why they can't honor the permits. So what I thought was a letter is like, oh, this is going to calm me down, or this is what's going to, make me have to apologize for the previous video or some of that. It was quite the opposite. It's like, okay, wait, now we're blaming the ones that continued on for why you can't honor those. And like I said in the previous video, they continued on, did it safely. Nothing in any comments did I hear anyone from any trail town or anywhere saying that there was any kind of super spreader events, or never heard about it because hikers came to this town. They said a lot of the trail towns, especially in California, are kind of like winter resort towns where all the locals go out to it, or even summer resort towns, all the all the people from the big cities, San Diego and LA and stuff like that, head over that way for skiing and other stuff. And there's way more of those people coming over than there was ever hikers. So, and for the most part, hikers are more respectful. I'm not saying for every single one, but are more respectful about taking care of their trash and respectful to the places they're staying. And these tourist people coming over, for the most part, are the opposite. So in these small towns, there's more of a risk from the tourists coming over than there is from the hikers coming through. So anyway, basically the PCTA is putting it on, once again, those 2020 hikers that continued on. So now, which was already my issue, creating division in the hiking community between those who chose to not and those who chose to go on. Now those who chose, like I did, to listen to the PCTA and get off trail, if you didn't have hard feelings towards the ones that continue on, which I never did, it's like, I don't know, and it's an individual choice, and as long as they're being safe, which turned out they were, then I was fine. As long as you're not hurting people or the trail or the trail community or the trail angels, then I'm good with it. So it's now further driving a wedge between, because basically making it sound like, oh, we could have honored your permits, but then those people went on. So another reason to be upset about those people who continued on. So I'm like, really? Now I'm more upset because this is my whole point, is you created this wedge. So there was that. Well, like I said, there was lots of comments about thinking that I was against all the positive things that the PCTA does to maintain the trail, and I'm not. This is a very singular issue. This isn't even an issue which a lot of people took it down a path of where does all their money go, and should they spend more on the trail, and do they have a rich CEO, and blah, blah, blah. It's not even about that. Sure, that's another debate, and I'm sure there are certain people that don't donate to the PCTA because of that. I'm not saying in any way do not donate to the PCTA. That's an individual decision, not against them. There needs to be trail associations to take care of the trail, to maintain it long past someone's thru-hike, because you thru-hike and then you move on to something else, but the trail's still there for future generations because of these associations in a lot of ways. So never was against that, and a lot of people saw my comments as that, as being against, just against the asking and then what you did afterwards. I have no issue with the asking, it's what they did afterwards, and that's what other people didn't get too. He kept saying, I have no problem with you asking for us to get off trail. And that's what I got a lot, was they just asked. They didn't do anything, they just asked you. You chose what you wanted to do, they just asked you. And that's right, they did. But it wasn't just like, okay, here's this suggestion, here's this what we would like, here's this request, and that's the end of it. If that was the end of it, then I'm fine. But there was a lot of, like I think I said in the last video, they would take people's posts off the Facebook groups that would continue on. Any pictures they were sharing of the trail further on, or water reports, or what trail towns were open and what businesses were open and what the dining capacity was at certain restaurants, or some restaurants were only outside, or how much room at this hostel, or how many vacancies at this hotel, or where you could pick up resupply during the pandemic, and or where you could ship your boxes to and stuff like that. All those posts were being deleted and taken down because it was against what they wanted. And one, I don't think they should have their hand in running Facebook groups, especially around the trail. Two, then you're not just requesting, you're basically requesting and then trying to make it as difficult as possible for anyone that doesn't follow you. So that's my issue, not the request, is then what you did to follow. Now, since then, I've also heard, now, like I said, this is just what I've heard, so who knows, but I've heard from multiple people on multiple different groups about hikers that continued on last year. And I never asked the hikers that I met when I was doing the Oregon section because I didn't know it was a thing or know to ask, and it was probably so far in the rearview window for them, Southern California, by the time they were in Oregon. But there was rumors of the PCTA calling trail towns, like the first 5 or 10 trail towns, and asking them not to service hikers because you're only encouraging them to continue hiking the trail and encouraging them to be put your town at risk, basically. And that I have a huge issue with, because now, once again, you're not just making a request, you're doing more to try to create division. You're asking these communities, which if anyone in the trail town community doesn't want to serve hikers, they can do that. That's their prerogative. But asking them to do that, especially for some of them when it is their major source of income or their biggest time of year, is not okay, and it's not your place to do that. So you're putting these hikers in a bad situation, thinking they run into one town and be like, okay, this is all open and fine. What if they come to the next town and it's all completely shut down because they've listened to your advice and they had no way to know, and there's no way for them to get out of town? And it's like, I get that the trail, there's things always changing on the trail and hikers have to adapt, but there's certain things we kind of count on. This isn't like living off the land or scrounging for food or whatever. Like, that's not what it is. So you kind of rely on the water reports from other hikers, or the updates on gut hooks, or the next trail town, or the next resupply, or whatever. And if suddenly those things are shut down to us, or the information is shut down, that's a problem. I also wonder, I don't know if this is for sure, but we had all kinds of issues going through the Oregon section on the gut hooks app, where app information was getting deleted like crazy. So people would post water's good at such and such a source, and 5 days later that would be taken down. So I don't know if that's just a timetable thing on gut hooks, that it only keeps the comments for a certain amount of time. But I heard lots of hikers talking about it, that suddenly their comments were gone, even to the point where it was discouraging hikers. There was one lady who left water reports at every single water source they came to. No matter how far off trail, she'd go check it and write a report, and she took pride in being the one filling everyone in for it. And they kept deleting them, or they kept being deleted. So I'm not saying the PCTA had anything to do with that. I have no connection, but I'm beginning to wonder now about hearing all these other things, if that's not somehow related to the people running gut hooks or whatever. We're trying to do the same thing, not encourage people on trail, and maybe that's why. I have no idea. I've also heard rumors that businesses were complaining. I think I talked about that in one of my previous hike or PCT Oregon videos, that businesses were complaining about bad reviews on gut hooks, and suddenly no one would go to their resorts. And it's like, well, then don't get bad reviews if that's, don't treat your customers bad, and that won't be an issue. So anyway, I think that was pretty much an issue. So anyway, I think that was pretty much it. A lot of positive response has been nice. A lot of people agreeing with what I've been saying. So I appreciate that, getting what I'm saying. And a lot of people, when I reiterated in the comments, that's not my point. This isn't an anti-PCTA post. This isn't me ranting and rambling on about because I've got some bone to pick with them, or some personal whatever for them. I just think you got to do right by the class of 2020 and the people that continued on, if you're going to allow the 2021 permits to go out. Oh, the other thing really drove me crazy. So some lady made this comment, and I think could be 100% right on. She kept saying, could be, I hate to say it, but she said follow the money, which is always the case, follow the money. And I can't believe I didn't think of that, because it's like, who's the benefit, where's the money, and usually you can find the reason why things that are done dirty are done. So she said that the PCTA took a huge hit, which I've heard from other sources, when they asked the class of 2020 to get off, and then did the things that followed. So there's no way to know, was it just the request, or was it because people saw it as political, to ask people to get off trail, or was it the things that happened afterwards, like the people getting kicked off of groups, or other situations that caused that to happen? I don't know, but their donations went down, I guess big time, took a huge hit last year. People who had been donating year after year after year suddenly are like, nope, I'm not going to donate at all. So she said, she's like, I hope this isn't the case, and I don't want to assume, but she's like, what if the PCTA has full knowledge that they're going to do the same thing in March and send out a letter asking people to get off trail exactly like they did before, but are allowing the permits to go on because that's their biggest time for donation, because a lot of people will put in for their permits because their permits are free. They'll donate to the PCTA, or along with getting your permit, they still have your information. Now they'll send you emails or letters about, hey, would you like to donate or whatever? And people are like, yeah, I want to get back to this trail that I'm now going to go hike. They're really excited about it. So she said it's like their key time to get donations. So what if they took such a hit last year that they're pretending basically that 2021 is okay to hike, to get the people permits, to get donations, and on the off chance it all takes, and it's fine, or things get better, or the vaccine changes things or whatever in that time, great. But with like an 80%, 85, 90% chance it won't, they can release their same letter and call it safe. Be like, oh look, we did the same thing, but still collect the donations. And this time, unlike 2020, they can say, well, fair warning, we've done it before, there's precedent for it. Where with the class of 2020, there wasn't a precedent for it, so we couldn't have predicted it. So maybe in their minds, less people would be upset at them for asking at that point, because there's already a set precedent for it. And maybe this time, if they do that, there won't be so much shaming of those who go on. And I would think more people would go on after seeing how many people finished in 2020 and it wasn't an issue. So it'd be interesting to see if they ask people off trail what their response would be, or would literally just be a request like they claim it was this time. So once again, all those things made me more frustrated about the situation. People have said in the comments, why are you so angry? I'm not angry about it. It's not angry, it's just frustrated. And I met a lot of those 2020 hikers who continued on, and they were really good people, and they talked about social distancing and wearing masks and always doing whatever they can to be following all the rules and whatever, and they were really good about it. And I respect them for that, and respect them for continuing. And if not for the amount of them continuing, I wouldn't have gone out and done Oregon. So I'm thankful that they did continue. Otherwise, I would have thought it was not safe to go out at all, and I wouldn't have got to do the section I did. So I'm really appreciative to that. And then hearing that their achievements weren't being recognized, which it's not a huge thing. I mean, it is and it isn't. It's not a huge thing. Like, you did it. You finished the trail. Why do you need to be recognized by some association or have some medal or have some plaque? But at the same time, with most other achievements in life, you get something that says, I achieved this. And for some people that matters, and why shouldn't they get a little bit of something and get a recognition from that? I don't think that's too much to ask. So it's not that I'm angry. It's not that I'm ever going to say don't donate to the PCTA. It's not that I have anything against 2021. It's just the special set of circumstances that happened this year that I completely disagree with. So I wanted to make a follow-up video with those added things. This might be the last one. I saw some people that were definitely tired of seeing my post because I put it on both places. Oh, it did get deleted off of the 2021 class of page, and I got booted out. So I immediately tried to rejoin. They must have a much harder screening process, or easier screening process to boot you out. Not so much to get back in, because they let me right back in. And I immediately made a post saying, just so you know, any opinion on here that's anti-PCTA, and they're going to kick you out. And then immediately I had administrators from that side saying, oh no, that's not the case, and we don't do that, or whatever, but then saying, but I can't speak for every administrator on this site, and maybe one of them would have kicked you out. So I I definitely was a member, and then I wasn't a member of the group, and then my post was gone, and it had comments on it. So I did join a couple of other PCTA or PCT groups that aren't run, because the official class of ones are all run by either the PCTA or people that are sympathetic to them. Sympathetic's not the right word, but support them no matter what and don't want to hear anything anti against them. So I did get kicked out of the group, but back in, reposted it again, posted it a couple more sites, and then I got some comments like, haven't we read this novel before? Because it was a long post. And a lot of, stop your whining and, first world problems, which I get. I get we're in 2020, or we were in 2020, and it's a pandemic year, and there's a lot bigger things. I'm not in any way saying this is the biggest thing going on, this is the biggest travesty of this whole year. It is so far down the list. But I felt it wasn't something that was being said, and because it was such a small group of 2020 hikers that went on, I didn't think it was fair for them to be the forgotten class for any trail, when to me, in my opinion, it proved to be safe out there, just like I initially thought. Like, you're removed, and you're not in big towns, and you're not spreading it, or there's been no signs of spreading it in any way, in the same way. So that's basically my point. I don't know how I'll post this, if I'll post this on any of those sites. I don't want to give people burnout. I think some people thought it was all, sensationalism or clickbait, or trying to get more views and likes or dislikes or attention to my page, which it is my opinion, and I did think, this might be something that people were interested in, and this is an opinion I haven't seen or seen voiced in this way, so I'm not going to lie and say, I didn't expect to get views from it. Nothing like what I did. My channel's been relatively small, so I can't say it's not exciting, but my point was to start a conversation. My point is to become more informed myself. That's the other thing too. People have said, like, I hear a lot of I heard, or the story is, or whatever. It's like you don't have hard facts. Well, that's true, because I can't have been a hiker that went and experienced it in all those towns and be a hiker that got off trail. I don't live in Southern California. I don't have my finger on the pulse of the PCTA. I'm not a full-fledged PCTA supporter or a full-fledged anti-PCTA. If I was, I might have more information about either of that, but that's not where I am. So I have to go based on kind of what I've heard, and then the way they present their information. Do they feel like they're just throwing things out there to support whatever their agenda is, or is it legitimately something that they heard, and then do I hear it multiple times? So of course I don't have sources to quote, it came from this person, 100% they're right. I don't know. But when you hear things and they kind of line up and they kind of make sense, and I don't feel I'm going too far-fetched, and trust me, there are people that go down the rabbit hole with the PCTA about them being, the most evil organization of all time, and that's not what I'm trying to do. And any theories that start going way off the deep end or way out there, then, I don't continue down that comment section. But that's not at all what it's about. But yes, I was happy to get views on it. I'm happy to create a dialogue. I'm happy to create a dialogue because that helps me learn more information from more people. I love hearing from other people that hiked, other people that got off trail, how they felt about that. I love hearing from people from 2020 who hiked on. I love seeing the curiosity out of a couple of 2021 hikers who are like, what went on? What's the PCTA? And what did they do? Or whatever. And make sure I preface it with this, I'm not painting them all in a negative light, just this situation, because I want to create less division between the two groups of people that hiked and didn't hike. And people respected me by saying I got off trail, and I respected them for continuing on. And we were able to talk and hang out and camp together and discuss the situation or whatever, and they were very understanding of my situation and what I was trying to represent by getting off trail, and that I had my family to think about. In Southern California, in an unprecedented event where they could have locked down the state for all we knew, we could have been stuck there for 6 months away from family, which sounds crazy now, but at the time there was so much unprecedented events. So anyway, those hikers respected me and I respected them, and that's kind of what I want for the community, and I feel like the PCTA kind of helped drive a wedge. And I don't want them to do that in 2021, and I don't want them to do that going forward when they talk about hikers that hiked on and hikers that didn't, because we can both get along, we can both agree that we took different paths, but not disrespect one or the other, and that's how it should be. And if the PCTA just made a request and then respected both sides of that request, like we all should have done, there would have been a lot less division in the trail community or on those groups in Facebook as there was last year, which led to a lot of other negativity and name calling and bullying or whatever and all these other sites on social media. And that's what I think is not right. We're not like that, or in my experience, hikers are not like that when we're out there. So like someone said in the comments, we're not like that when we're out there. Why are we like this here? And I feel like if I brought up my exact point or went on my exact tirade out there on the trail, that people would listen and get it. I'm not saying everyone's going to agree 100%, but they'd be more open. And I feel like, which is nothing new, on social media, suddenly, you assume the wrong thing, you don't read or hear or fully understand what the other person is trying to say, and then you immediately jump to attacking them, which I've had some of that in the last couple of days about that, I'm not a real hiker and I just want attention and blah, blah, blah. So it's not what I want it to be about, but I'm not going to sit here and lie and be like, oh, I don't care about views or subscribers on my channel. I do. I want it to be successful. I want it to be successful and get the message out there to chase your dreams like I did, and get out there and do the things, and make it happen, and don't give up on a dream at any point. I'm not, mine got canceled for 2020, and I have no idea when that will be any different, but I'm not giving up on the trail. I still love it. I'm still able to do Oregon. I hope to do at least the Washington section at some point, and then the whole thing down the line. And I kind of want that to be the message of my channel, is like, you can go out and do whatever you want to do. Even the small hikes that I do, like, do those things. Get out and do what you can do within your capability. And the more people that are following the channel, yes, is a success for me, but at the same time inspires. And that's important to me, because that's what got me back into hiking, and that's what got me to want to do these through hikes, is YouTube hikers. So there's a lot of negativity about YouTube hikers, and I'm not saying every one of them's fantastic, but most that I've seen and watched have been inspirational, and they're all over the board, and I love that. They're like people from all different backgrounds, like the trail community is, in all different situations and all different filming styles and all different whatever, and you kind of get a glimpse of that and then get to follow along. And I was so inspired by that, and a lot of them said then they want you to go out and create as well. That doesn't have to be, YouTube, that's not everyone's thing, but for me, I wanted to do it in the same way. And now they inspire hundreds or thousands of people to go out and do it. And if half of those people make videos or take wonderful pictures or whatever that inspires anyone else to get out, then there's branches, and the inspiration of positivity and the inspiration to get out there and hike continues. And I think that's a great thing. So that comes from the success of my channel, is more people seeing that and then getting out there. I'm not going to lie and say that doesn't benefit me, obviously, and I would love to do that, on a part-time, full-time basis and be successful at it. I don't know if that's legitimate. Even if it's not, even if it stays as small as it is, I'm getting so much support from people, and people that enjoy our videos and see it every time, and family that can keep up with what we're doing, that I don't have time to call or send pictures to, and they just kind of know what's going on in our lives from that channel. And I love that. I love sharing it. I love having a record for my boys as they grow up. And if it turns into more than that, great. And anyone it inspires now, great. Anyone it inspires as it goes on, great. And also being able to have debates like this, or share my opinion, and try to do it in a way where it's like we can share each other's opinions without being negative. You can not like something someone does without turning it into, I hate everything about them. Like, I can not like this, I can not like that, but that doesn't mean this is a tirade against them. And that's how I feel about the PCTA. I don't like how the situation was handled. If they adjusted the situation, I'd be the first to say hats off to them. I'm not about rubbing it in their face and I told you so, or about time, or whatever. If we get to the right solution, where we're taking care of people and we're taking care of the class of 2020, and informing hikers that are coming in the years to follow, and continue to be like, hikers are who we need to take care of, and in turn then take care of the trail, and they have respect for you and you have respect for them, then we're just a better community and a stronger community for it, and the money goes to the right places, and everything's funded correctly. So that's what I'm hopeful for. So that's the reason for all this. There's probably going to be people who don't believe that. There's probably going to be people who think that it's all self-motivated, it's all self-serving, or I'm not a real hiker or whatever. But I can't. There's going to be dislikes, and I feel like anyone that gains any kind of attention with anything, there's just going to be that, no matter how you put it. But I hope the good outweighs the bad, and I hope people see the positive in what I'm saying, and that you can say it in a way that, or hopefully I'm saying in a way that's not a put down or negative or anger filled. Not that I'm not frustrated with it, but in a way that's a little more civil. So once again, I rambled on super long. Thank you for watching.